Welcome to the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Bro Shears, and today I am joined with a friend of mine, Cody, a young man, 19 years old, who has started the Maturity Project, a dating course, a relationship course. And we're going to talk a little bit about previous relationship or some of his experiences in life and what he got out of that. So you don't need a train wreck in a relationship or to have future train wrecks. You can actually outgrow all of that drama. So with that, Cody, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, and then let's get right into it.
Yeah, so my name is Cody. Growing up, I was a big sports guy, played baseball. Separated myself from most people just because I really focused on that. And then I ended up getting a nice scholarship to play last year in college. And then decided that it wasn't best for me over there. So then I moved back home. Had a lot of learning experiences, went through a lot while I was over there, which I was very grateful for. But I'm taking a year off of baseball and then looking to get back into it next year.
My man. Yep. Athletic. Yeah. You got a lot going for you. You're a smart guy. You're nice. You're kind. You're understanding. Actually, my experience of you could be the nice guy that finishes last because you are seriously a nice guy. I just don't know about the finishing last part necessarily. But
Yeah.
you truly are. You embody being a truly nice, genuine person.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, that's you, brother. I'm just telling you how I've experienced you. But you're welcome, I guess, if I have to say it. All right. So let's talk about it. What was how would you prefer to go about it? Do you want to talk about some of the relationship experiences you've gone through, or what you got out of the relationship course, and then how what you've gone through can be improved upon based off of that, and then you can give the experiences of what you went through.
Yeah. So recently I went through a nice little learning process, and Chad was very grateful enough to take me under his wing, kind of guide me through a few things, give me a lot of tips, and then he sent me over the relationship course. I read it all. He explained it all to me, and I was very interested because that's just how I am as a person. Like, I live by 1% better every day. You got to constantly grow. And he introduced me to the relationship course as well as the whole maturity project, the 8 different ways. And it's something that I was very, very interested in hearing about, and then actually seeing it. Like, it opened my eyes to, like, this is really for me, like, very open-minded and interested in it. And just helped me open my eyes to a lot of the stuff that I received from other people and how just immature and unhealthy it was, and
Yeah.
how to grow from everything.
I appreciate that, by the way. And my stance is that there is a reason why some people are so incredibly successful in some areas and other people are successful in others, right? But the people that are successful in some areas never seem to be so well-rounded that they're successful in every area, right? I've known people that are business people and they're so incredibly good. They're so successful. They're making ridiculous money. And every year it's like doubling their profits, right? And it's like, wow, that's incredible. How do you do it? And then you actually look at their physical body or their marriages, they're divorced, they're having custody issues, they're not in shape. They have health, like major health issues, stuff like that. And it just leaves me with, what can we do to make a difference? And first off, you can't do it for anybody. And then I looked at what are the most common issues that people deal with that really distract them from making real progress in their life. And on average, it seems to me that it's relationships. Well, who the hell taught you how to have a relationship? Right? Your parents will give you the archetype, right? That's the preset structure of a relationship before you realize the world exists, right? The bigger world, right? Like your local world, yeah, you might have some concepts there, but your parents are teaching you how relationships work. And then the external to those, which are going to be the people your parents associate with that you're exposed to. And then how do their relationships work? And before you know it, you don't know how any of this stuff comes together. You just like how the rest of the world comes together. You only know what you've gone through. So, if we want to break free of this, we have to first start understanding that you can create clarity for yourself. So with that, you were going through some relationship challenges, as you know, you and I met, and you're like, I immediately go, this is a good person. And he's going through something, and it's easy to say the other person's a bad person because I'm talking to the good person, right? And usually that's the dichotomy. The reality is that if you take from what I said previously, the likelihood is that the other person, the woman that you were dating, is that she's not a bad person. She's just a person that has been guided differently. And we can quantify bad, but that's going to be very individualized. Or we can say for you, it is disruptive and harmful to be in that relationship because you don't have the maturity to handle it, nor is it a position that you should handle it. Because if you do, is that you enabling her? So that's just an introduction to what we're going into today. Now, would you like to say anything about that? Because the way that I feel that we should structure this particular conversation is a little different than that. But I wanted to put that out there so people at least have something to understand who the hell is Cody, other than this, good-looking guy with his long curly permed hair. I don't know what that's actually called, but I don't have hair like that. And the world is in front of him. So what is it that Cody, like, how do you feel that you want to get started before we go into the structure that I feel is going to be the most effective for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, something that I guess we could get started about would just be like how you just mentioned, guided differently. People are different. Obviously, there's always going to be ups and downs in relationships, and like what to take out of it, what not to take, when to know when it's not right for you, or when you're just losing too much of everything and it's just bringing you down constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that, that's just the way that it typically is for us, right? Well, these are the things that we don't do, because what we do is we get stuck in our own bubble, and then we realize reality through our bubble, which is that puts us at center stage. We're the star of the show, and we don't realize other people are doing the same thing, and they're playing roles where they're like, I got the part. I got a boyfriend, or I got a girlfriend now. I got the part. I'm awesome. Can you believe it? After all this time, I got the person, right? Mm-hmm. Or, yeah, I got another part. It's not a big deal because relationships could be easy. So we have a habit of getting so specific about who we are, being the star of the show, that we forget other people are also the star of their show. And then we have the people that have built the foundation of the way that we perceive reality, and they're there in those, like, they built it, and then we are there in that reality, and then we have other people enter into ours, and then we try to create one together. What I've found is the biggest issue is that we don't have clarity about exactly what we want, nor what the other person wants. We can get stuck in the minutia of the hardships, right? We can say, she did this to me and I've been deceived, or she's doing X, Y, and Z. And it's all of the emotional enrollment that is the hurt part of you desperately trying to get validated. And it's understandable. And it should have some degree of validation because, look, you're hurt. But at the same time, if it's over nurtured, then it can be a contribution to the negative. So, yeah, you're going through some stuff. The best way to qualify it, first off, is just, hey, you're going through some stuff, man. It sucks. The next thing is that I know you're in pain, but how long do you want to stay in that pain? Because we can start looking at this in a different rational direction and say, I understand why you're there. I get it, because this is how you were guided. This is the way that you've experienced reality, but you have another opportunity. And that is, we can mature you. We can develop you past this. But we have to identify the areas that give you, hey, you can grow there, there, or there, instead of being painted into the corner with that emotional barrage forcing you to stay in place. So with that, the way the relationship course is written is, and what we can do is we can go section by section and then kind of talk about what you did know before and what it gives you access to now knowing it. if that works for you.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
we can just talk more about the hardships. It's up to you, because if we need to paint the picture a little bit more about the hardships, it can give people like more of a like, why is it that you're so much more mature because you're taking this conversation versus what most people do, which is contact everybody you can and talk about how shitty the other person is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one more hardship, we could do that.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll go into the other part.
Yeah, basically through a lot of this process, I recognized that pretty early on that we were two completely different levels. Our kind of lifestyles were in different ways. I was more athletic, and college was my kind of thing, and it wasn't the other. It wasn't the same on the other side. I noticed a lot of things about this individual, and I did nothing but try to guide and give her the tools to help better herself, kind of get more on a higher level, not just for our relationship, but things in her life as well, just so that way she can become a better person, grow from it, and not be stuck living day to day, just going through emotions.
Right. So, and some of the challenges you went through, we don't necessarily need to give a complete description, but how would you qualify some of the things you went through? So what we can do right now is to really qualify the real person, right? What has Cody gone through, and what kind of like pain have you dealt with? Because the other side is how have we created a opportunity for salvation by growth and maturity? So we can say with the current, again, we're not saying who she is, right? Because look, who she is doesn't matter. It's a person that you were in a relationship with. It could be anybody you're in a relationship with. There are other people out there that'll do this. She's a person nonetheless, and she's just been given the direction that she's been given, the exposure and the experiences and the way she rationalizes reality. So it's not to say she's the villain. So nobody take that idea that she's the villain, but we can all relate in relationships that we've had somebody in our life that we've decided to make into a bad person or a villain, but because we didn't really understand the other pieces. And I'm not saying go back by any means. It's saying, how do you take this and grow into a more mature person in the future? So if you want to give us just a little bit more about like, if you would, to give us some of the vague or the categorical drama of it, and then we're going to take it from the drama and go right into logic.
Yeah, so some of the drama and the logic was just a lot of lying and manipulation, disrespect, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that would have to do with like infidelity or things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Pretty standard. Most people experience that. And a lot of times it's like most people keep what they now refer to as a roster. Right. I got a roster. I got people I could always just like turn to. That's also a happenstance of online dating. Whether that's how they have their roster put together or not, it's the entire social construct, if you will, of the way we understand dating as a quick release and the way of filling opportunities if what they feel right now just doesn't fit with what they're up to. Right. And then what comes out of that, women talking about body count, stuff like that. I will say this before we go into the next part is be careful what you condition yourself into today, because it will have a consequence tomorrow. So if you're focused on body count, it's the forbidden fruit, right? Because when you're finally ready to settle down, you will have coping mechanisms and a way of dealing with reality that will make it very hard for you to stop those behaviors if you get into a relationship that does not have that as part of the agreement. So if your relationship's open, and by the way, we're going to talk about this now, but as far as that goes, do you have anything else to say about that, Cody, before we get into this? Because this has to do with the types of relationships.
Yeah, I'm good.
Transition into the types of relationships. So with that, the types we have celibate. I don't have sex with you or anybody else. I'm not having sex. You can have your reasons for this. And so today's society, there's fewer people doing this. And several generations ago, that was actually the dominant behavior and method to find a partner. I'm not going to sleep with you until we actually are engaged or we're married. Right? Celibate. Then we have monogamous. And monogamous is traditional. We understand that. It's you and me. Nobody else is allowed to do anything with either of us sexually, emotionally. you need to make sure that you have the clarity about what that is, right? But the majority of the time, monogamous is no one interferes with us sexually or emotionally. That's it. It's you and me, dedicated to you, you're dedicated to me. That's more of what most people are looking for, or at least that's what everybody complains about not having. And then there is the ethical non-monogamy, and that has polyamorous and all of the others, that the alternative lifestyle, all of that stuff falls under that category. So you can be monogamous, but your partner is ethically non-monogamous, and you've made that agreement. Or you could be ethically non-monogamous, but your partner is monogamous. It is in the agreement. There's a lot to it. I don't want to overemphasize that, because that's not the point of creating the understanding. It's just that there's so much diversity in that category that I want to make sure that nobody sits there and goes, well, or I'm the exception to the rule, or any of those other things, or what you don't know. That category houses all of that, with the exception of if you deceive or lie, you are not in that category, because that's called ethical non-monogamy, which means you cannot lie to your partner or partners. You have to be honest. You have to be up on the front end. If you are lying or deceiving, you're not in that category. I don't teach that in my course. So that's the 3 different types. So of those 3, do you have one that you would like to tell everybody that is your preference? You don't have to, by the way. But if you have a preference in that, do you have one that stands out? Is it celibacy, monogamy, or ethical non-monogamy?
I would say monogamy.
Okay, standard, right? That's the majority of people. So with that, would you say your partner has one of those that aligns, the previous partner? Does she have one that aligns more with the others, but minus the... Well, actually, I'll ask that, and then we'll ask about the ethical part.
Yeah, I would say she was more on the
non-monogamy.
Yes.
Non-monogamous. Okay. So the ethical part may not be there, but she was more of that type of person to be non-monogamous. By the way, that's the one that majority of people have to lie about, because they don't feel safe to be honest or to tell the truth.
Yeah.
They feel they're going to lose something, and it's a bargaining chip to keep them by misleading or deceiving. I'm not saying anybody's wrong in this, by the way. I'll make sure that's incredibly clear across the board. So with that, now we have with what your intentions were for the relationship. There's 3 different categories for the intentions. One is casual, and casual is as far on the spectrum from casual, I don't even care how you're doing. I'll just call you and we hook up. It is like, basically, the only thing different between that and prostitution is there's no money exchange or gifts necessarily, right? That's far on the casual spectrum. And then the other side of the casual spectrum is I don't want to commit to anybody, but I want to have a date when I go places. I like being around you, but I'm not your girlfriend or boyfriend. I'm just, you know what? I like spending time with you. We'll Netflix and hang out or whatever. We're going to cook dinner, whatever, but we're not officially a relationship. That's on the casual spectrum. So that's all the way through. It's a pendulum on that, if you will. Then there is the traditional, which is going to be long-term traditional. It's long-term traditional style, which is, hey, I just want somebody I'm going to grow old with. I'll do a 401k with. We're going to have kids. We're going to do all of the traditional stuff, but it is long-term. You pick the top 3, which is the celibate, monogamous, or ethical non-monogamy. You pick that, and then you put it into this category, which is going to be the long-term portion. And it can be any one of those 3. It's just up to the agreement, but it's typically casual is not going to be found there, but the other 2 can, which would be monogamy and ethical non-monogamy. They can both be found in this one. So that one is, I just want to have somebody to grow old with. I don't want to date anymore. I just want to have my person. That's it. That's more of that category. Then there is the power couple. That's the 3rd category in this. They are very commonly, but not exclusively, long-term. You can have a power couple, but it's short-term. The person could be terminal, or they may be moving. They can't control it, or you just won't move with them, whatever it is. But for the time that you have with them, they want it incredibly intentional. So it doesn't guarantee long-term, but it does say, I want to make this incredibly meaningful. Power couples could be doing business things together. They're all about growth, and it doesn't matter it's any of the 8 areas. They're all in on the growth, and their partner is also all in on the growth, and they have each other for accountability, support, and overall just somebody to grow with. It's a power couple, but it is common that they're long-term, but it's not required. It's just very common that they're long-term as well. So with that, of those 3, which one was it that you were looking to create, Cody?
Definitely more the power couple.
My man. Good. That's what I like. But hey, if you're long-term, that's cool too. So now, by definition, what is a power couple for you? By what way? Is it college and support? Is it business? Is it entrepreneurship? Working for a company or entrepreneurship? Is it finance? What is it about the relationship you wanted to make a power couple?
Yeah, so it was more business side or a career. Just I have really big, hard goals that I'm trying to chase with baseball and everything, and the chances are always going to be hard, but like if that works out at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of the other doors when it comes to power couples open up.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as financially, got to be smart about money, different lifestyles, just got to stay mature and just perfecting your craft every day. Just working towards the end goal, just constantly bettering yourself, being more mature, living day by day with constant improvement.
My man, I love it. What would you say your previous partner was up for?
I would say realistically more casual to long term.
Okay. Yeah. And again, with that, it could be ethical non-monogamy, right? Or at least non-monogamy. So, okay. And all this is to highlight a mix match. How do you identify that? Right. The best way to identify it is try to get the guessing game out and do the work, right? Do the program, have it written out. This is how I am, but there's a process to this, by the way, if you're watching this video. Well, obviously you'd have to be watching this video. There's a process to this, and there's a whole thing. You have to do the work, they have to do the work, and then you two bring it together and you actually exchange it. You don't do it together necessarily. You can sit at the same table. It doesn't matter. They get your packet, you get theirs, and then you go through it, and then you can red line or you can black line, whatever, that works for you, what doesn't work for you. And then you can come up with a compromise if it doesn't work for you and see if it's agreeable. Right. So, okay, fantastic. Now, from there, when you get into the core values, right? Core values are the I, we, and all. Right. So the reason why this is important, first, we have to understand distinctly exactly what kind of relationship and what kind of seriousness about that relationship you have. Then we need to get into the individual so that we understand who we are, right? So Corey has a specific set of I values, and I'll give you a description on this, and then we can kind of get a little bit from Corey, either his experience of understanding it or what you want to share. So an I core value, by the way, I borrowed this from Paul Check. And I love this guy. He's awesome. But anyway, he really opened up my eyes about a decade ago about a lot of stuff. So an I core value is all about you. How much water do you need to drink on a daily basis? What kind of foods? What time do you go to bed? What kind of things do you do to center your soul, right? Do you read? If you do, what kind of stuff do you read? When do you read? That kind of thing. If you exercise, it's all about you taking care of you. No one else can intrude on this, but it's about you having the clarity so that you understand how to share that about you with another person so they understand it. It's not so they change it. It's so they understand it. So with that, Cody, what is it that sorry about that, by the way.
Oh, you're good.
All these new people in my life. Cody, what is it about you that specifically that you learned in the I core values portion?
Definitely the gym and baseball is number one. And then those are by far the main things, as well as something I'm trying to implement more, which is spiritually being more religious, growing in that aspect as well as currently in school.
Okay. So what is it about that? So like how many hours per day do you need to actually practice practice baseball and time to the gym?
Yeah. So I growing
Is
up
there
in
some
high
other
school, I had a lot
exercise?
more time, so I would love to say the more the better, obviously, but realistically, with my schedule and everything, definitely an hour and a half in the gym at least, and as well as 2 hours training for baseball a day.
My man. So good. If you don't get that, do you feel like you've robbed yourself?
Yes, I
Good.
feel like I didn't put in all that I could have put in. That for
What
that
if
day.
somebody interfered in it? How would you feel about that if somebody interfered and said you couldn't do it, or they gave you a reason not to do it? Overtime, how would you feel about it?
I would take the punch on the chin and put it on myself that I allowed somebody as an outsider to have that effect on me.
Right. But at some point in time, could it make you resentful towards them if they continue to do it?
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
And resentment kills relationships, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the reason why it's important to understand core values is so far Corey's identified baseball, exercise, and academia, right? Your schooling. All right. What about how much water you should drink? What you do at home? Like, like you've got your time that you're supposed to be doing something for you, right?
Yeah.
In order to do that, actually your I core values is you nurturing you. You're growing you, you're developing you. You're taking care of you. So is there anything else that you want to throw in there? Because there's actually quite a bit. There's multiple different areas that work in the I values, but it's to help expand on that for the people that are watching, as well as kind of expand it a little bit more for you.
Yeah. I mean, definitely some stuff that I went through recently. Nutrition was a big thing. I lost taking care of myself in that aspect, as
Right.
well as staying hydrated, giving my body enough time to recover, putting the nutrients in my body for it to grow the most. And now I'm more on the side of getting my size back. So now I'm trying to implement more time for myself to make more food, healthier food, and get back consistently on a nutrition side as well.
Beautiful. Right. Because food's up to you. Right. You can eat your food with your partner, but ultimately you're the one that chooses what you put in your mouth.
Exactly.
So just because your partner and you would be easier if you ate the same foods, that's still your choice. So you don't have to. All right. Now, with that, there is two other categories. We really didn't get into the other two categories because the first stage of the relationship course is that you focus on you, because you can't go to the next one without the other person. But to give other people the understanding of why it's important to do this work right here, and the I core values is that you cannot do the we core values, which is the we is you and the other person's we. You cannot do those values without knowing you. Right? If you have something that you enjoy doing, right? Like I enjoy karaoke. I enjoy singing. I'm not very good at it, but that's okay. I consider it my own psyops to do. If I'm alive, everybody else needs to know I'm here. All right. So I do my psyop and by punishing them with my horrible voice. But the point of it is that, like it's still like I enjoy doing it. So there's the what time I go to bed, what time I wake up, it really comes down like if I take supplements or not, those things are there so that if my partner decides that, hey, I don't want you to go to bed at that time, I want you to spend time with me. Even if I agree to spend time with that person, if I've made a concession or a compromise, will that come back to kill the intimacy at some point in time? Because I accepted a compromise that I really wasn't open to, but I did it just to prevent a fight or an upset, which is the most common reasons. So with that, is there anything else that kind of opens the doors before we get into the we values? I know I've kind of like belabored you a bit on this, but
No, I really feel strongly about what you just said about like compromising yourself and then it coming back later on to affecting how the relationship is.
It absolutely will too. It doesn't matter how good of a person you think you are, it slowly erodes. Every stone will be subject to the river. It will eventually wear it down and change its shape. So, just be aware of it. It doesn't matter how strong you think you are, whatever your constitution is, time and effort eventually changes the character. So if you compromise, it can definitely be the thing that breaks you or changes you. And that can kill your relationship because it kills intimacy if you don't have clarity. So we core values are your I values. The two of you come together and you talk about exactly what the both of you need to do in order to take care of yourselves. And then when you understand that, that's how you understand how your relationship needs to work moving forward, to honor the two of you in a joint union so that you two can enjoy each other in such a way you don't compromise or take away from each other, because there's absolute clarity about each other's needs, wants, and desires. Then there is the all core values. And the all core values is how your relationship affects everybody else on this planet. So when you understand these things, now you can start working through it. It's all you do is you take the I value and you work those into the we. When you understand the we values, you take that to the all, and it's all it is it replicates itself down the line. You're just building the community much larger. So when you and your partner walk into a room and an all value is the entire room, you know how you and your partner will behave with everybody else and how you affect them and how they affect you. So that you can say, hey, power couple, I want to change the world. Fantastic. There it is. It's in the all value, but you need to get there, and it takes work and strategy. You have to understand each other and yourself. So, all right. I know we didn't talk about that much when we did the course because that's 2 steps beyond where you're at. It's perfectly fine. That is to come though. All right. Now, when it comes to this as well, how did the time budget affect you?
I compromised myself and the things that I needed to do in order to avoid fights and problems. And I lost all of my free time doing what I need to do, which was even have time to go to the store to get the right foods to make. Didn't have time to make the foods, didn't have time to go to the gym or really church even.
Yeah. Right. Like how does it really? So here's the thing is that when it comes to this, most people, they don't understand their own budgets for time and how they need to set something up so that, look, we all have 164 hours a week. What do you do with that time? If you work and you work full time, you're probably going to get 40 hours out of your week, and your partner can't be there for that. Then you have your prep time, right? Like what time do you wake up? What do you need to do to get yourself ready? That is, as they say, shower and shave, right? Or, defecate, shower and shave, whatever, right? Typically, you don't want your partner there for that. Well, how much time during the week does it take you to do that? All right. Now, when you go to the gym, do you want your partner there or do you want to go alone? How much time do you need to go to the gym that you don't want them to infringe on? Or are you open to it? You have to have that clarity, right? When you go to the grocery store, how much time does that take you per week in order to do that? When it comes to studying, all the activities that you have that are necessary for you to take care of you, how much time does that cost you? So that you can help your partner understand, this is how much time I have available for a relationship to be together and to exchange experiences so when we're in the same space and time. Right? Like I can text you, we can phone call, but just understand I'm doing all the rest of this stuff. So don't be upset if I don't get back to you right away because this is the stuff I'm up to. All right. So time budgets have all of that associated with it. So you'll get down to the point where you realize at the end of the week, you may only have less than 10 hours to spend with the other person, or the other person may have less than 10 hours to spend with you. But here's the consequence of not knowing this. Is you don't know what your partner's up to and you will fill the void. Well, that must mean my partner doesn't care about me. Or maybe they're talking to somebody else or seeing somebody else or whatever. You'll fill the void with whatever your narrative is encouraging you to fill it with. So with that, the first point is that you spend the time understanding you in that space. How much time do you need for you?
Yeah. So I am working full time, so that 40 hours would be for me.
Right.
I'd say.
And your partner can't be there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Right. So 40 hours is out immediately.
Yeah. And then
Right.
I'd say
124 more.
I'd say another
You don't have all this down. You don't have to have all this down, but just give people an understanding of like just overall ballpark.
Yeah, I'd say like another 35 to 40 for my self-development, for towards my goals, my career, stuff like that. And as well as probably 7 to 8 hours of getting ready, showering, all that stuff, and another 5 for cooking food and stuff like that.
Okay. So, and you said 40, how many hours again?
40.
For the self-development?
I'd say probably around like 35.
35 hours, and then you have 12 more. So, yeah, you've got 42, right? No, 12 more. Oh. Wow, why is my math so bad here? 12 plus 55. Okay. Yeah. So you got 47 hours there, and that's off of 124. So you got a 76 hours, right? Now, whatever. We got the general ballpark. I apologize. My father was better doing math in his head than I am. I'm more in the psych direction than he was. So anyway, we're whittling down the time, right? So if you're at home doing the math on it, just so you can make me wrong, subscribe to the channel and watch me fail forward and fail up, baby. All right. So as far as that goes, you see how it's continuously whittling down. Right?
Yes.
So what else do you have going on that would take away from a partner? You got to sleep, right? Is your partner, do you require your partner there, or do you want your partner there for while you sleep?
I would want to, yeah.
Okay. How many hours a week do you sleep, or a day do you sleep typically? 8, 6, 8 hours a day.
Yes.
So you're looking at 40 hours a week of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're getting down there, right? You're somewhere within the ballpark of 20 hours left. What else do we have that you need to do? What about grocery stores? Like,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So what about like what else do we have? Bathroom. That's on average about 5 hours a week. If you do 30 minutes at a time. When you go to the bathroom, some at 1.4 times a week, 4 times a day. Right. As far as like spending time, not just running in to urinate and get out. That's like, 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever. So, but ultimately, right, we're getting down to the point now we're getting to the single digits on time. You see how this can be beneficial is that your partner understands you have other things you're up to and your time's accounted for. It's not so you can set them up so they're your probation officer or a stalker. It's just so that they can rationally understand. So whatever their narrative is doesn't emotionally contaminate you or themselves.
For sure.
Vice versa. So it's just to give that. It's not to be a probation officer or a stalker. Nothing like that. It's just like, hey, this is what kind of time I have available in my week to actually spend with a person. And then as you get to know the person, you may open up the categories and say, yeah, you know what? I'll go grocery shopping with you. Or whenever I take a shower, 3 times a week, I'll take a shower with you. Whatever. Like, you don't have to schedule it and take away the romance and the surprise, but you're open to it. All right. So you're just like, yeah, as we grow together, let's do some fun stuff. And you're letting them into your life. But in the beginning, most people that are well matured and rational, they take their time before they open the doors.
For sure.
So do you have anything on the time schedules that you'd like to say before we move on?
I would say I would probably add a couple hours with family as well, without her.
Okay.
Out with family.
Just you and family, right? You got to nurture that. So you see, like, that's how the time budget works. It's not like this is the blueprint. Everybody does these things and all of that. It's not that at all. What this is that it helps you understand for you and your unique aspects of life. This is how we actually build up and make things more successful and supportive. So, all right, beautiful. Now, definitions, because definitions have details that matter, right? Have you thought about your definition of love? Now, here's the reason why I'm asking that before you answer for the audience is that you will not find what you cannot define. So if you can't define what love is or any of the other critical words, good luck finding it. You're playing the lottery. And I can promise you, I don't have anybody in my family that's won the big lottery. Actually, in my friend circle, I don't have anybody that's in my vast friend circle that has won a big lottery. So with that, do you want to play the odds, or would you rather be strategic and do something that's meaningful that you can control and create a better outcome? So when I say that, everybody likes to throw around the word love. Words that define, right? Everybody's looking for love, but when you ask that question, what are you looking for? I'm looking for love. What is that to you? What does it mean by definition? So, Cody, do you have a definition yet for love?
Yeah, I would say two people that know a lot about each other, get along very well, know all the goods, all the bads, all the flaws, and still continue to accept them as a person, as well as trying to better the other person and you guys growing together.
Got it. So would that be something you'd be able to explain to somebody that's not from this planet? Right. Or somebody who's brand new or young, right? They don't know anything. They just got the definition first time open to the book and they're like, I want to know what love means. What would that be is that a good enough definition for you? Do you feel confident that that would work?
I feel like for myself, the learning experiences that I had individually, I think that's what helped me develop and come up with that definition for myself. But as far as other people's, I feel like it could be very different.
Right. Yeah. Because if they can't understand or comprehend your definition of love, do you think they would experience what you experience or what you express love as?
No.
Right. It's a hell of a thing, right? It actually screws with you. For me, it screwed with me because you cannot define a word by the word itself. You can't say love is love. Because I'm going to look at you and be like, that doesn't have any intellectual value. I'm sorry, you cannot define it that way. Circular, if you will. It'll come back to itself. You can't do that. So what would that be? Right? If you can't express it, don't expect to find it. Right? Because what you'll find will have very strong probabilities that there'll be a reason to leave it or it fall apart. Now, I'm not saying by defining it that it's going to fix it either, but at least it gives you a better chance. Because it's multifaceted. It's like being successful in a career. It's multifaceted. It's not you don't just show up and you're good at a career. You don't just do your job and you're good at a career. You've got a few other variables that need to be done in order to be successful. Same thing with love. So I'm not saying your definition's wrong. I would definitely encourage you to continue to elaborate a little bit more for yourself, clarify. Because when you're on a date, you're going to want to be able to express this. By the way, do you feel that what you've gone through this course will change the way you date?
For sure, because I took definitely all the experiences that I've been through. I like to think that I took them in the right way. As far as growing for myself, I think I definitely focused more on the physical side of aspect of self-improvement. But this course really opened my eyes on how to better understand and break down every little thing. For example, like the time. I was one to just be like, I like to do this. I spend a lot of time like doing baseball, for example. Like this is my passion. I work, but I never went through and actually broke down the hours. And I feel like as the course overall and everything that it talks about, even the definitions, like you can't expect something when you truly don't know what it is.
Right.
And truly don't know what you're looking for. So I do really think that the course opened my eyes to a better way of going about everything.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. Yeah. The other definitions that'll be beneficial for people to understand is trust. Trust itself has to have a better definition than just like, hey, trust is trust. Well, don't lie to me. Otherwise you break my trust. Well, yeah, but is there any other ways to breaking your trust? And also when you tell somebody what it's like to break your trust, it's also to express to them what your expectations of your behavior is. And if you do something, what does that mean that you broke their trust or their trust? So it opens the parameters a bit more, right? Loyalty, honesty, those words are all words for clarity because they're vague for most people. What does it mean to be honest? And by what definition is that? Because if you understand what your partner's definition of honesty is, then you can hold them accountable. Right? And you can get clarity. Honesty. Does that mean white lies are okay? Or black truths are okay? By the way, black truth is when you weaponize truth to hurt somebody. Like somebody lashing out at you because of that. So anyway, that's that. Now, as far as that goes, yeah, definitions matter. With this, what it is once you get to the end of the course, as Cody knows, when you get to the end of the course, you take that, you've done the work, you evaluate yourself. There is work in that states that you need to basically go through all your values, and you make an agreement with yourself about how you're going to be in a relationship so that you can hold your values in a way that the other person won't mess with it. And you will have that shared with the other person when you do come across them. You can do this work without having a partner. You can do this work without a partner that doesn't want to do it, because it's something that helps you build yourself up, and then you get to the next step. So Cody's been doing a great job with this. I love what you've been up to. Cody, I don't want to continue to like pitch the course, right? Because I'm really not trying to do that, but I do want to offer this as a way of creating clarity, because after we've talked about it, you do seem like you're a little different now. Before, you seemed like kind of like a ship at sea without a sail, and the waves are just whipping you around.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, when we've talked, it's like you just seem to have this confidence about you that's a little different than what you had before.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is because when at the beginning of this past relationship, I was at one of the highest points in my life. I was 18 years old. My physical side, my religious side, everything. Like, I was at the highest of the highs for myself. It was the most I've ever grown. Like, all the hard work was finally paying off and showing, and that really made me feel good about myself. And then when the relationship started happening over the whole time period, it just was a constant downfall for myself, and I just allowed it, and I didn't take what was best from it. I just really allowed it to affect me, and now I feel like reflecting, taking it as a growing opportunity, and not looking back and thinking about like how, like, oh, this is bad, like, I like to think that I take everything in the right ways, and just the reality of just like, I learned a lot from it. I went through a lot. I'm going to learn a lot from it, and I have myself, and I've done it before, and I can do it again.
Yeah, I love that you're just getting past it so much. You know, who you are now is different, and I love that. And all it was is we spent about an hour talking about the course on the phone, and then you spent some time afterwards just kind of thinking and having better clarity. So before, you've been going through some challenges with this ex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were just kind of like dealing with whatever. And look, it's always hard whenever emotions are challenged, especially whenever you feel like something that you thought would just be stable falls apart, or at least whatever stability you had starts to fall apart. How do you feel now with the relationship as a contrast to what it was before?
I feel like a lot more at peace now that it's not a thing anymore. Because I realized how badly it affected my life and my day to day. I lost focus in everything that I had a passion for, and it really took a big toll on me. And I'm just excited and feel a sense of relief in a way that I can be the person who I am again.
Yeah, I love it. It's like it's fortifying the person that you are, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and the next person that gets into a relationship with you, I have a feeling you're going to knock their socks off. Just because you're geared to develop yourself, and you're an amazing contribution in a relationship because you care, you've got empathy, you're becoming more of a man, right? Not that you're not a man, but you're leaving the boy side, right? And you're really becoming that much more of a man, because 19 to 20 is going to be a change, and the 21 is going to be another one, right? You've gone through some stuff. And the beautiful thing about this is that from our conversations, I see that you're not going to become jaded, nor are you going to become resentful that you may have lost a piece of you that somebody else, women, have taken away from you, right? Like, as you know, people build up to those narratives. Women do this, women do that, or men do this, men do that. And you can say, hey, a person did this, or several people did this, but you're responsible. And you would say, what was my part of that? And what caused the women to do this or men to do that? And you could be like, yeah, I was a part of it, but I decided to be different. So I commend you for that, Cody.
Thank
You're
you.
a great man. Yeah, you really are. I see amazing possibilities and opportunities for you coming up. You don't necessarily understand or see all them yet. And it's not that I have a crystal ball, but in my years, I can definitely tell you when I meet somebody that's put together like you are, you will see that you do get some great opportunities that show up because of who you are, and you'll be able to measure that against your peers because your peers won't see the same responsibility or same opportunities. You know, you'll be able to see things they can't because when you're more responsible, you see things differently.
Yeah.
You see opportunities where other people see punishments and or discipline, and you're just like, no, it's change. It's a lesson. Yeah,
For sure.
So, do you have anything in closing before we before we get off?
Something I kind of wanted to hear from you is just like something I was thinking about lately, which was how do you know when to differentiate how much somebody should be putting up with in a relationship? Because this is something that I feel like I would say it, but I never fell through with it, which was like I would stand up for myself. And granted that I knew it would be hard, that was a factor of holding me back, but I ended up doing what I had to do in order for the right reasons. And I feel 100 times better because I did that.
Yeah.
So now I know I can do it again. Like I've been through that, but something that I feel like I'm still unsure of is just like how much do I need to put up with versus obviously no relationship. There's going to be issues here and there down the road, whatever.
Of course.
But I just feel like I am unclear on the differentiate between like a normal problem that's going to happen because nobody's perfect and too much and like when to leave.
All right. I'm going to give you the most simple answer. When do you tell yourself internally enough is enough?
From experience, I would say to the point.
That's your answer.
Yeah.
You will say it to yourself internally well before you ever say it externally.
For sure.
That's when it's enough. But by the way, it doesn't mean the relationship is dead when you say enough is enough. Sometimes the other person needs to understand the consequences of their actions, has the real risk of the relationship ending because the other person has had enough.
Yeah, for sure. And something that me and you did talk about off camera too is just like how you mentioned in the previous video, like you can't change somebody. You can't make somebody stop smoking a cigarette. At the end of the day, they're going to find the ways around it. And I was actually, my mom was talking to me about this and she was just telling me like that I'm a good guy. Obviously that's my mom. She's going to say stuff like that, but that I just give so much to people and I let myself fall under the category.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I'm just trying to fix and grow from going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, your mom's always going to say the wonderful things about you because she had a lot to do with who you are, right? Accept that you are a good person, and then now understand what it takes to express that into the world. Who is a good person? And by what model do you expect the world to understand a good person is? And then you use that to understand where people start to take that away from you. Like for me, like I smile almost everywhere I go. And one of the things that helped me with a previous relationship as it ended and it realizing how impactful it was on me is I caught myself not smiling. And I go, Chad, this is not you. But it's not smiling. I tried. Like I threw it out there and was like, you know what? Force to smile. Because there's literature out there saying if you force to smile, you change the mindset, right? And the emotional state. Like, how about I just consider that I wasn't wronged, but I was given a lesson and an opportunity. And then all of a sudden, my eyes shifted. It wasn't just my smile. So you're going to come across challenges. Differentiating whenever it's enough. You can't want something for somebody else that they don't want enough for themselves. You can't want them to quit smoking more than they want to quit themselves. You can't give somebody rope and want them to climb to safety more than they want to for themselves, because it may be hard to climb. And if you try to do the extra work, you might be enabling them.
Yeah.
And if you enable them, you're convicting yourself to a future behavior that you cannot let go of. Because when you do, you leave them to their own devices and you filled that space for the expectation of how to get there. And they can resent you for it. So don't do it.
Yeah.
Let them be their own adult. When you catch yourself saying enough's enough in your own mind, you're there.
For sure.
You're there. It's just, what is it about the emotional attachment that has you continuously holding on? What reward are you trying to get out of that? Because people have to hit their own rock bottom and you can't stop them from it, because your body gets broken in the process. Your emotional body, your physical body, your mental body, whatever it is, but it gets broken in the process. Your responsibility and how you develop yourself is exactly what they may have found in you that they didn't have in themselves. And you were the shiny block that finished the wall that they considered to be the future they wanted to live in. The problem is they didn't build it themselves. You're the block, not them. The foundation is faulty. They're not the foundation. You are. You're a part of it. They can't be that person without you. Now, this doesn't say don't support your partner, but if your partner isn't willing to do the work, then there's a problem, because you are, and you don't have equal core values there, and you will eventually be used or resent them. So either way, you'll come to resentment eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You're a good, smart man. You keep it up. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, Cody, how can they reach you? What do we need? How do we get to you? Instagram, email, or you just want to say, hey, you don't have to reach out to me. I'm a man of what I'm up to. And if you find me in person, you find me in person. You have any way you want anybody to reach out to you, or do you want to be accessible through the through this video?
I'll throw out my Instagram.
Okay, throw it out.
So it's gonna be Cody Conte, CODY, and then CONTE.
Now, T or D, Tom or Delta?
Tom.
All right, thank you. Because remember, we've had that problem, right?
Yes, we did.
So it is CODYCON. No, it's CONTE DO CODE. I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, I can't spell today. CODEY.
No E.
I threw an extra E in there. Do it again, but this time do it with the phonetic alphabet value.
All right. C as in Corey. O as in octopus. D as in diary. Y as in a yo-yo. And then C as in class. O as in octopus again. And then N as in neighbor. T as in tariff. And then E as in elephant.
Tariff.
First thing that came to mind.
Yeah, it's all right. It works, man. It just helps everybody. It's not the military, but it still works. Yeah. No, but it helps, because the way you say T and D is incredibly confusing. By the way, for everybody to understand this, Cody and I went back and forth multiple times as I'm trying to send him an invite for a previous conversation, or when I was sending him the documents of the relationship course. And I heard him say D instead of T. So anyway, this is an inside joke, and you guys are now part of it. All right, that's it for today. I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears. This is the Maturity Project. We've been with my guest, Cody Conte, and this was a conversation about the relationship course. It's breaking the dating game. And Cody has been through some stuff. He shared some great things with us today. Here's what I'm going to suggest for you. Share this video with somebody in your life that you want to understand that you're up to something. I suggest these people be part of your support system because change brings stress, and your support system will see you going through stress. Here's the thing that happens with empathy. If they don't know you're up to something, they're going to try to help you deal with that stress, and it may be bringing you back to the behaviors you've decided to change. So if that's the case, they will inadvertently be a empathy crab. And you don't want an empathy crab because they care about you. They're not trying to hurt you. They're just trying to help you, and they're pulling you back to the old behaviors. Simplest way to deal with this, share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you got something out of today, because, hey, guess what? When the show grows, so goes the community, and so does society. So share it, all right? Now, with that, yesterday's failures are an opportunity for tomorrow's success. So get up to something. Get up to it with us. Get up to us with Chad and with Cody. All right, let's do this. Let's do it together. See ya.